Hello and welcome to this, the Books Crypto Club weekly catch-up on Zoom. It is Sunday the 30th of October 2022, and as is always the case with these sessions, we're going to be talking about whatever comes up. Some weeks we talk about blockchain, cryptocurrencies, crypto assets, DeFi, NFTs, ICOs, STOs, any other three-letter acronyms for that matter. There's so many and so much going on in this world. The sessions are dictated by whoever comes along, so it depends upon what they want to talk about or what questions they have. And that's a great thing about these sessions as well. They're open to everybody, novice and expert alike. So if you'd like to come along sometime and ask some questions, or if you're more experienced and you're running a project, or you'd like to share some details of what you're doing, come and join us. There's a link in the comments below. We hold these sessions out every week and they're open to everybody, novice and expert alike. So do come along and join in next time. And now let's see who's going to come and join us today.
Hello.
Hey there. So who is Salsa Republic?
Oh, is that what's come up? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's Cheryl Ann from Sydney, but I'm in London.
Okay.
Is it?
I would say there's so much going on. Well, this week is it NFT week this week in London? So there's a whole load of events going on and everything.
Okay. So I've just only just started trying to find out what's on and who. I kind of don't know anyone really.
Okay.
And
Well,
yeah, gosh, I didn't know it was NFT week. Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's NFT week this week. There's so much going on all over the world, but particularly in London at the moment. There's always what I can do is if you use Telegram, I run a crypto events channel where any events that I get to hear about get published onto there. And there's a calendar linked to it as well. So you can check out all sorts of events. Let me go and dig the link out for that while we're talking.
Don't know what my Telegram is. I actually took the app off my phone.
Okay.
But everybody wants Telegram now, so I definitely have to put it back on.
Yep.
So
it's certainly in crypto, Signal and then Telegram and then WhatsApp tends to be the order of things being used, I guess.
What was the first one?
Signal.
How come I don't even know about that? Wow.
So you've got all of these messaging type things, and the joke is it really depends upon which intelligence agency you want to have listened to all of your things. So the joke is obviously if you use WhatsApp, then the Americans are listening. If you use Telegram, the Russians are listening, and if you use Signal, Mossad or the Israelis are listening. So
choose your weapon.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I adopt the attitude of let them all listen. If they find I'm saying something interesting, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what was used to them from me yet.
Exactly. So I've just shared a link in the chat anyway. Feel free to use that.
Okay.
And that links into a calendar as well, where you can see all sorts of events that I try and keep up to date. So I think London's meant to be quite busy this week, so you've timed it nicely.
That's great. Okay, whereabouts are you? So
I'm just to the west of London, about 60 miles west.
Okay.
So I used to come into the city every day as part of the rat race, and then doing some consultancy. I was in London for the first time in probably 3 months last week.
Yeah.
For a day, and that was it. You know, I tend not to come into the city very often these days.
Yeah. It's really crazy at the moment. It's like October's become high season as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, lots to do with the last 2 years. I'm sure that also the weather's nice.
Yeah, the weather's quite mild for this time of year, which is quite good. But October in England is weird because, as you probably noticed the other day, we had 20 degrees, 21 degrees centigrade. And I think it was the next day we had hail showers. So
I'm so did not bring clothes for London, and I was so afraid. So I bought these. Someone told me to go to trade and these op shops and stuff, and I just bought this massive jacket that's all like lined with this fake fur, and it's massive. I tried to wear it one day when I felt cold, and I was sweating. It was too hot.
I was going to say, you probably find we're going to have the mildest winter on record in England now because of that. So
have not been able to wear it. It's like, oh my God, I can't take it.
Yeah. Well, you
Anyway,
find as
that's it.
you find as well, if you're in central London, because you're probably going on the tube quite a lot,
Yeah.
it gets very hot, even in the winter type
So
thing. So
hot.
it,
I had no idea. I thought it would be cold down in those tunnels, but no. Anyway, you're right.
absolutely,
You're right there.
yeah. So what's your interest in crypto and blockchain and that kind of thing then?
Okay. So I would just want to learn as much as I can. I have been trading, but I feel like now I kind of do a little bit of research almost every day,
Mhm.
listen to many different things, and I obviously have my people I like on YouTube. I like listening to now, and I definitely follow certain prices of certain cryptos every day. I suppose I've traded. I feel like I could become a bit of a day trader,
Mhm.
um, but I'm still learning as well. I mean, I
Okay.
kind of did okay considering I probably joined May last year, so I probably bought stuff really high,
Mhm.
considering, and then I realized what was going on, because
Right.
everyone's like, oh my God, buy it before it goes up further, oh my God, it's going to go through the roof. And then I realized who to listen to, and then I realized how it
Yeah.
works, and I realized what a bull market is, and we're in a bull market. And so I've just kind of been trying to DCA on some of those things, and obviously recently they're really good. So I feel like I've gotten quite smart, and I sort of did okay, even despite that.
Okay.
So yeah, I
Well,
feel like
well,
I've done okay, but need to learn still.
yeah. Well, it's good. I always say that the best time for people to come into this space is when there's money to be lost. So when the market's going down, that's actually
Yeah,
great. That's actually great because it teaches you that you can lose money.
right.
The worst thing I've seen is people who've come into the market, they've bought some crypto, and then it's just happened to rocket up in price. Purely coincidence, just the way it works. But
Right.
all
That's
of a
what
sudden
I
they,
wanted.
yeah, but all of a sudden they think they're experts, and they think they're crypto traders and all this kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
you need to spill a little bit of blood in a way to appreciate that it's not as easy as it
Yeah.
kind of feels at times. So maybe
Everyone says
maybe you're entering at the right time.
yeah, and I just feel like I have more of a feel for it as well now. I don't know.
Hmm.
Definitely enjoying it more,
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
I'm not really doing much right now. I'm just waiting mostly.
Okay. Well, sometimes that's a good strategy. I mean, if you take a look at what Bitcoin's doing at the moment, Bitcoin's going through phases of very stable, just gentle weaves
Yeah.
type things, which means that you're more looking for any sort of breakout signals or any other indicators.
Mm.
Um, at least it's not got that extreme volatility that it used to be known for, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there are other cryptos which are doing crazy things. And then you
Yeah.
look at some of the things like Dogecoin, which I think is just a fun meme coin,
But
but
it
you can
didn't
still
I
make
think
lots of money with it.
yeah, exactly. But didn't Elon just combine Doge with Twitter? I'm not sure what that means, but
I don't think he has. I think people are beginning to think that's what he's going to do.
really? So it's
And
done fake pump.
well, this is it. The problem with Doge is, every time Elon Musk tweets a photo of his dog or whatever, then Dogecoin goes up and does something crazy. So you
Yeah.
can never really tell what's going on. What is
Yeah.
interesting, though, as I was describing to someone earlier on today, is that a lot of people don't realize you can already use Twitter to make crypto payments. So it's actually got built into it, but tucked away, a ability to do things like tipping of micropayments
Right.
in Satoshis. So it means Twitter's actually already got a payment rail capability in it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that they've never promoted it. They don't talk about it type thing.
Right.
So in a way, I do wonder, Elon Musk saying, "Oh, I've acquired Twitter because we need a town yard where people can talk openly."
Mm.
It might actually be he's doing it because it gives them a payment platform, which is kind of like PayPal 2.0,
Yeah.
which is funny when you realize that he made his money originally from PayPal.
Oh, but also the timing is perfect because PayPal just, advised that they're going to fine people $2,500 if they're doing the wrong thing.
Yep.
And it's so vague, their description of what the wrong things are, because they're supposed to be pro crypto, but it's actually looking very anti crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So if the timing's perfect, because I think everyone started in crypto world, at least just started leaving PayPal en masse, just taking out whatever.
You're right, and loads of people have been leaving PayPal because they allegedly made this announcement that if you promote, I think they described it as dishonest information, but they left it, as you say, very vague. Then they misinformation. That was it. That they had the right to fine you $2,500.
Yeah.
But the story got a bit more complex than that, because it turns out that they announced that was actually an error. It was a mistake. They didn't mean it at all, even though it had obviously been through all the governance rules and everything like that. But then people then looked at the current terms and conditions.
Exactly.
And it's still got it in there.
It's still in there.
But what people didn't notice was it's not that it's still in there since they made the announcement, but it's always been in there. It's just that no one's noticed it before.
Exactly. Well, that's what George from Cryptos R Us pointed out 2 days ago. He said, people, actually, it's always been in there. And now they're idiots because they just drew attention to it. Or someone, it's good though. But it's so interesting, the timing, of everything and that Elon's doing, and with Twitter, and just probably when people are leaving en masse.
Yeah. So it could be a great opportunity for him. It's interesting as well that there's a load of regulation type stuff happening at the moment as well. And one of the interesting things I always say about the UK, which is quite interesting from any business perspective, but particularly crypto. London geographically, and this is funny because we're always talking about decentralized systems and decentralized payments. At the end of the day, location and being next to each other can play a part. Well, in the UK at the moment, something you may not or may realize is, first of all, we've got the government in Westminster, which is in London. We've got the regulator now just outside of Canary Wharf, which is in London. We've got the law courts and the high courts and the Law Society in London. We've got the City of London, which is a city within London, quite a weird thing, which is where all of our finance, banking, insurance and that. So you've got the regulator, the lawmaker, the lawyer, everything within a 10-mile radius. And they're about to introduce some quite interesting legislation. Right. So there's the new, is it the Financial and Market Services Bill or something like that, which has got loads and loads of stuff about crypto assets in it. Right. So it looks like they're going down the regulatory route around crypto. Which I think is going to be amazing if it's done right, because once crypto is regulated, that then allows pensions, hedge funds, all the traditional players to move into the space. So I think it's going to be massive, but that's my view.
And I think the average person will feel safer. I think there'll be mass adoption.
Exactly, and they reckon already there's something like, I think they said there's 5 million people in the UK who have a crypto wallet. Or have access to crypto. Now, loads of them are going to be infrequent users or whatever, but 5 million out of an adult population, I think it's about 40 million in the UK. Wow. So it's a reasonable percentage already. But similar, Australia, people are getting more and more into it as well. And I'm keeping an eye on some of the stuff. I think it's the Australian Law Commission or something, and they're doing some things around crypto. I just took part in a public, not inquiry, a piece of research anyway, which I think it was the New South Wales regulator just did around crypto and all this kind of thing. So there's loads of things happening all over the place.
Yeah, well, I'm still governed by that, so yes.
Yeah. And I think you look at what's going on in the Middle East, like Dubai. we sometimes have people dialing in to these sessions from the Arab Emirates and that, and Dubai in particular, loads of stuff going on in the crypto world. The place to be. So
yeah, I just actually I just watched a program that had a bit about crypto in Dubai in it. Some crypto people, some project called Gold Pesa. Have you heard of Gold Pesa?
Is that the scam one?
Well, it was on this show, so I don't think so. But
okay, I know that there was
the people that created it were on this show.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's all I know. And I saw that. I looked it up, and I saw these comments: scam, scam, scam. And then I thought, and then I saw other people supporting it. So I don't know.
Okay, it's interesting because there's been a whole number of projects, and it's very easy to mix up the legitimate ones with the scam ones. But there was meant to be a gold-backed crypto project that was launched in Dubai last year, but it did turn out it was a scam. It was a fake, because they claim that they were supported by the Dubai government, and actually they weren't. And they launched the crypto project the week of a massive crypto exhibition or conference in Dubai, which had people from government there and everything. And so naturally people started connecting the two and thought it was all linked. But no, it was, I believe, a scam. Whether that's the one you're describing or not, I don't know. But there are so many out there. Just who knows?
I mean, this one, it was on a reality show, but it was showing the creators of it, showing how much gold they had, gold backed. It was gold backed, but not a stable coin, or I don't. That's all I know, really. Okay. So I tried to look it up, and then I saw the comments: scam, scam, scam. Then other comments that no, this is great, this is the real deal. Okay. So I don't know. I only just saw it. That's all I know. Yeah.
Well, unless they've got the physical gold somewhere, and they've got
on TV.
Okay. Well, if they've got that and they've got independent auditors proving that the crypto and the gold is matched, then maybe it could be so. But there are so many projects, whether it's asset-backed crypto, whether it's real estate and crypto. There's loads of these things going on. I mean, the UK again are about to launch an NFT that is gold backed. Right. So, and that is actually through the Royal Mint, and the Royal Mint is the authorized body for issuing coins and currency. And they were about a few months ago, they were about to launch an NFT that linked to physical gold storage. So maybe there's something in that as well.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely, that seems to get more people not in the crypto space when it's gold backed.
Well, this is the thing that, you know, people traditionally think of gold as being a safe haven and a store of value. When you can link that to cryptographic security in some way, then it sounds a little bit more credible. Yeah. Unless you're in the crypto space, because then you think it makes it sound less credible.
Exactly. Then you're like, oh, okay, this is for they're just trying to market to a certain.
Exactly. So what brings you along today then? We have a real mixture with these sessions. Some weeks it ends up just being a one-on-one. Other weeks we get 10, 12 people joining us or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I've learned on the fly a bit, so I'm just always keen to learn more and get any knowledge I can. I suppose, I mean, what did you have in mind to do?
No, it completely varies. So, you know, some weeks we get beginners on where they ask questions about things. Other weeks we get people who've been interested, maybe like yourself, they've been interested, been involved. They may have heard a few terms that is still don't quite know what they mean or how it works. Yeah. And sometimes I turn it around. It's like you mentioned DCAing before. I happen to know that means dollar cost averaging, and for most people that typically means, while it's going down in price, buy more of it. In really simple terms. But I don't know if that's how you mean it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like now it's like I remember I used to watch and like be really wanting it to go up, go up, go up. Now I look at it and I go, it went up, fabulous. It went down, fabulous. Oh, it went way down, awesome. I can buy some more. You know
Well,
what I
well,
mean? It's like,
well,
no matter what, it's fabulous.
well, this is the kind of crazy thing that you go, well, if I think it's worth $20,000, but I can buy it for $10,000, that's a bargain.
Right.
And that theory holds okay, as long as it doesn't then drop to $5,000, which is even better value, and $2,000, which is
Yeah,
amazing value, and 1,000,
exactly.
and then it ends up to
Exactly.
zero type thing.
And I've done, of course, done a bit of that too, because, it dropped down, in November, and then it went like 90% down. So I thought, I thought I got some good prices, and then, okay, it's going lower. All right. But, I mean, it will come back up. And it's funny because there's so many people that say, oh, yeah, but it's dropped. It's like just dropped way down. So many people have lost money. And I say to people, well, they only lost money if they sold it low.
Mm.
And they're like, yeah, but it's so down, and I'm like, that's fantastic. And they just look at me like I'm like, but that's fantastic. That's so great, Well, good, I can buy some and like use everything I learned in the last year and really do something now,
Yeah.
They're just looking at me like I'm, okay, maybe I wouldn't take advice from you then, but I'm like, that's
But the reality is that anything that involves finance goes up and down. We look at, in the UK at the moment, UK gilts. So these are government issued bonds. The UK 30-year gilts, I think it was, that they lost some like $1 trillion worth in value in the last few days. So, that's a government backed thing, which has kind of collapsed. Facebook.
People typically say that's the safer bet.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at like Facebook shares dropped, was it 700 million or 700 billion? I don't even know how many zeros there are these days in these things. So simply because Mark Zuckerberg said, oh, we're getting into the metaverse and here's what we've done, and showed something that all people who are already in the metaverse said, that's not very good.
I think these people are thinking like there's definitely probably big banks or whatever, the people that it's not in their interest for things to change, feeding fears throughout the world and trying to get into instilling people's minds that crypto is going to go away, it's going to go to zero and disappear. And there's just too much adoption now, I think, and there's too many big players in there. And are involved much more than
and that's hopefully it. As adoption grows, it then gets harder and harder to get rid of it. But I talk to some traditional people as well and say, look, the average life of a currency, so not a cryptocurrency, but things like dollar, pound, whatever. The average life is 37 years.
Right.
The two notable exceptions at the moment are the UK pound, which I think has been going for 350 years, and the US dollar, which I think's been going for about 80 years, 90 years or something. So with the exception of those two currencies, most of the currencies drop away. And it was interesting having a conversation with someone who was, I think he was ex-Bank of England, about Bitcoin a long time ago now. And he was saying, oh, well, this crypto, this Bitcoin, it's not backed by anything, is it? I said, well, that's the same as the pound. And he said, oh, pound's perfectly safe, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, why is it perfectly safe? Oh, well, it's backed by the government. Okay, well, the Zimbabwe dollar was backed by the Zimbabwe government. The German Deutschmark in the 1930s was backed by the German government. So being backed by government isn't sufficient. Venezuelan bolivar, is it? I think there was another one recently. So,
but also, originally currencies were backed by gold reserves held, and it's been so long since that was the case. And not only that, banks have actually been lending money they don't have, like just I don't know what's it called, printing it, I guess,
Well,
just
it's
out of thin
called,
air. So it's not.
yeah.
It's also digital, and it's also not backed by anything. It's also man-made.
This is what I really loved about when I started getting into crypto and I started learning about how it worked. One of the things it encouraged me to do was learn about how traditional finance works. And that was
Right.
you go down this kind of rabbit hole that the more and more I learned, the more and more I realized most of us don't understand how real money works. It's fascinating. The one that I love to explain to people is how it is. You get quite a lot where people complain, oh, my bank wouldn't let me use my money to buy some crypto. Because a lot of banks, certainly in the UK, a lot of banks won't give you access to, if you want to do payments to Binance or to Kraken or whatever. And people complain, oh, the bank's stopping me from doing what I want with my money. It's like, well, first of all, do you realize it's not your money?
Yes.
And they say, what do you mean it's not my money? It's like, well, once you've deposited it, then it's the bank's money. It's not your money. You've actually issued them a loan.
Yep.
And they go, I haven't issued them a loan. Yes, you have. You don't realize you've issued them a loan.
There'll be some fine print somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. And what they then do is that they use that loan and they resell that loan several times, which is a thing called fractional reserving, to provide loans to other people based on the loan that you've given them that you didn't realize you'd given. And this is where, when you look at fractional reserving and reserve banking and the role of the central bank and that, and you go down this rabbit warren of, this is not the way I thought it worked.
Exactly. And you also, like, that there's a limit on how much you can withdraw, in a day or at a certain time, or they'll be all over it if you suddenly start trying to draw out, 100,000. And it's just, and not only that, it's all the fees, the hidden fees, if you actually add them up over time, because since when I had a business and I'm starting to claim them, that column was insane.
Yep.
It was the longest column, not the biggest in value, but big enough to go, whoa, okay, hang on. And, I just loved the kind of concept of a win-win situation that I think crypto has provided. Well, Bitcoin, and Satoshi is amazing. It's like this, it's win-win. And I find most of the really good people in crypto they're not necessarily trying to bring down the banks or anything. They just want a system that's win-win, They're not bashing anyone, particularly a little bit the banks, but there's so many good guys in crypto that would trying to help facilitate this win-win for everyone. And I think that's what I love about it.
I like the fact that originally, at least, the great thing about crypto was that you couldn't get into debt with it. If I sell you a Bitcoin, I must have that Bitcoin to sell to you. I can't sell you something I haven't got. So the thing I really liked originally was it avoided a debt-based economy.
Yeah.
Because there was no debt. It's
and
just a shame since then that changed. But
interesting, I was talking to a financial counselor not too long ago, months ago, and she was saying it's actually illegal what banks are doing, allowing people to get further and further into debt. Because obviously the recent crisis has brought a lot out, and so people that it's just turned out worse in a way for everyone. But it's actually illegal what the banks do, apparently, and you can actually take action. The lawyer that knows about that.
Yeah, I think there's there may be a film out now called The Great Mortgage Swindle.
Yeah.
And if you think that traditional banking is bad enough, if you look at how mortgages actually work and how mortgages are resold, but more interestingly, how it is, certainly in the UK, when you fill in a mortgage form and you apply for the loan and everything like that, you don't actually date the agreements. And I always wondered why that was.
Wow.
And it's because it gives some flexibility, even though it says, signature date, they always say don't date the agreement. And
Okay.
it's in theory, I think, so that they go away and the bank people sign it and everything. And this is where somebody did a load of research and discovered that actually there was a load of bank documents like mortgage forms, that the way that they're using them, they don't actually sign them themselves, which means all sorts of things. But yeah, there's a whole world of pain and fraud and everything with that.
Yeah.
And you're right, if it managed to get to court, then it would make a very interesting court case.
Yeah. Might be a class action situation. But it's gosh, there's just, it's like people have been misled with all this marketing and advertising and about the dream and about and like that's the way it's done. Why is that's the only way it's done? Why is that's the way it's done? And there are so many things that have just been kind of it's a very, very good marketing job.
And it's fascinating as well, because you listen to the stories of what the traditional finance people are saying about crypto. It's all about money laundering, criminal activity, underhand dealing.
What's not?
Exactly, manipulated markets. And you go, well, I read a report, I think it's a year old now, okay, it's about out of date, of the top ways of money laundering. And Bitcoin, I think, was at number 35 in terms of most used ways of money laundering. And number one, and it's been a number one for years and years and years, is the US dollar. So
right.
If you want to go money laundering, and for anyone watching afterwards, this is not criminal advice, blah blah blah.
This is not criminal advice.
but it's hard to
not
beat.
A criminal advisor.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a suitcase filled with used dollar bills.
Yeah.
For anonymity and everything. So whereas with crypto, there's actually a ledger behind it, which is keeping track of every single transaction. It's the most traceable thing going. So
I know, right? That makes sense to me. When stuff like that makes sense to me, I think, okay, I think I'm a crypto person.
That's good. It's when that light bulb moment comes on, you go, actually, it's exactly opposite of what they say.
It's so weird, because I've never liked numbers, never liked maths, never liked calculations. I even worked in Qantas reservations for a while, and I hated calculating fares and using different currencies and the NUX, the universal currency. I hated all that. And since I've sort of discovered crypto, I love it. And it's like, I don't know what's happened to me, and give me more detail. Oh, more complicated. Yeah, that's all right. I know it's going to boggle my mind for a day, but I'll do it. I want it. Give me the more detail, And it's like, I would love to be just really, really sort of versed at all that. And I suppose where I'm at now is like, I'd really like to know about staking.
Okay.
And I kind of like, I'm looking at Hex, maybe. And I just feel like, okay, let's say getting MetaMask and being able to buy something through Uniswap and check on that and make sure that went up with that was so stressful. Last year, and I probably haven't done it since last year, even though I don't feel that stressed about it yet.
But that's the thing, that the two things that will get people into crypto, one is when it becomes more regulated, because it will just feel safer. The other thing is when it becomes easier to do, because you're right. The original reason I set this crypto club up was because when I first started getting into crypto, and so I've got to get a wallet. Okay, I understand that. That's a bit of software. I'm okay with that. Oh, but the wallet's got my keys in it, but it hasn't got my crypto. How does that work? And I've now got this hardware wallet called a ledger. And how do I do that? And how do I bet? And it gets so complicated so easily. And that's why I find sometimes if I want to understand something better, I'll either try and teach other people, because it's the old thing that if you can educate people in something, you understand it.
I've often done that with other things.
So I did that. And also I set up various groups of people in a similar situation. who could just learn from each other.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
mean,
it.
I know that I've been watching various things like Sheldon the Sniper, who is really good at making money in a bear market because he just, I guess he's a bit intuitive as well, but he's very good at, like, you can make money no matter what the conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, shorting and leveraging, I suppose, and I'm not 100% sure even what that involves or what it means exactly.
Okay.
The vague awareness of it. But I thought, I could definitely be doing a lot more with whatever amounts I have, and definitely putting that to work, And so I guess, like I was listening to something, I've listened to it before, but I kind of listened to it again today. Like, for example, I'm not saying I'm pro hex. I don't know, honestly.
Mm.
It looks good. He looks like he knows what he's doing. But you can, if you stake hex, you can get all airdrops, constant airdrops of this thing. Or actually, I think you have to actually go and do it yourself. And I forgot the term for that. You have to go and mint.
Okay. Yeah.
Mint it. So you get it if you mint it. So you get it if you know, but then you have to know, I think it's called Hedron or something. So you can get this other one that's he's also another project he's working on that is related to some project, but I can't remember now. Anyway, so there's like people that just make thousands in airdrops and NFT prizes, And I actually did get a free NFT through a comp on Twitter, but I don't know if it's any good.
Okay. I think the majority of people don't actually make money out of things like airdrops. I think a few people do. And the few people who do are probably the ones who spend a lot of time with their own YouTube channel posting about how they do it.
Right.
Because a lot of time it is pretty complex in some of the things that you have to do. And
yes.
it's when I would sometimes read articles, that's why I don't even get involved in yield farming.
Right.
Because you sometimes look at well, you need to get a MetaMask set up with the wallet, and you connect that to this, and then you buy this with this, then you convert it to this. And I've got the attention span of probably of a goldfish. So if it takes more than a few seconds for me to understand how to do it, it's like, nah, can't be bothered. I'm awful. If I get a new toy, I don't bit of electronics or whatever, and there's a manual, I go, yeah, okay, leave the manual. Let's see if I can actually use it. So I'm not great at these whole things. And this is, again, I used to be involved in a few ICO projects a few years ago. So initial coin offerings. So this was the whole.
I'd love to do that, and I've gone into a couple of them and gotten halfway through, maybe a quarter of the way through the process, and gone, I don't know what I'm doing.
So in the heyday of ICOs, which was probably 2017, 2018, I was involved as an advisor to a couple of the projects. And the thing I found fascinating was we ended up producing videos on how to get your ICO tokens. Right. And it's like, you know what, when we're at the point where I have to produce a video, which is a 10-minute video explaining all the steps you have to go through, this is too complicated.
Yeah.
I don't have to go through a video to see how to make a PayPal payment, for example. So why should I need to do it for the crypto? So this is where we need to make things a bit easier still.
Yeah. Well, I think people are working on that. But,
yeah. And it's getting there bit by bit. And a couple of projects I'm working on, the whole idea is to mask the complexity. So you don't even need to know all the stuff under the hood about where the private keys are or what you're doing with your seed phrases or anything like that. Doesn't matter type thing. So it all comes down to making it easier to use and making it easier to sort out if something goes wrong. Because this is the thing I found fascinating, that the big difference to me between crypto and traditional finance is that if something goes wrong with my bank account, I can go down to the high street, knock on the door, speak to the manager and get something sorted out.
Yeah,
What,
and
what I
shout
find,
at them, make it their
exactly,
fault.
yeah, but what I find really, really interesting is, to me, that's one of the most compelling reasons to use traditional money. It's because there's a branch on the high street, I can knock on the door, I can go and complain. And what the
There's
bank,
a bit of accountability, although that seems to be diminishing.
yeah, but then the big problem now is that until now has been the unique advantage of a bank. So what are the banks doing? They're closing all branches.
Yep.
So they're actually getting rid of something that gave them an advantage. And
I
think
know.
that's kind of weird. So.
And you have to go online and press 1 to go through the menu.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Exactly. So I can't help you with yield farming because I'm not into that area myself. Generally, though, with most of these things, when you do want to learn something, the easiest way I found is to go to one of the platforms that offers the service in some way, and they've normally got good explainer videos. So I suspect Binance has probably got something these days.
I have actually on crypto.com. It's very easy. They just say stake and you press the button.
Yep.
But for like other projects that aren't on big exchanges, but anyway, that's okay. Is staking the same as yield farming? You know,
I don't do either of them to be able to give an honest opinion on that. So I don't know. I think so, but it may well not be. It's an area that I've never fully understood the purpose of it. I've never fully understood how people who you've supplied the crypto to make money out of.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, and if I can't understand how people are making money out of something, I just get a little bit nervous.
Yes.
It begins to sound like a Ponzi scheme, even if it's not a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
But it comes down to the whole trying to understand things yourself.
Well, I think you have to have a massive infrastructure behind you and have financial backing that can pay it out at a moment's notice, for the whole thing to work.
Yeah.
Or to keep standing, through whatever period. Anyway.
But yeah, so staking and yield farming is something that I was going to look into. And then, as was always the case, I got distracted by something else that was happening.
Yeah.
Because there's always so many things going on that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I heard someone say today, you got to risk it to get the biscuit. So I never heard that before. I love it.
Neither had I.
So what do you think would be an ideal way to say just purchase cryptocurrency through what kind of platforms? What kind of is there a way to go completely DeFi? Is there what would you suggest?
So it's interesting that if you look at the kind of the benefits that crypto was sold on, it was decentralization, censorship resistant, privacy, pseudo anonymity, and that all of these things seem to be going away at the moment. So the whole idea of true decentralized anonymous transactions and that is getting harder and harder to do. So for most people who are beginners in this space, I tend to say, don't worry about the purest things. Think about the practical things. So can you use crypto to make a payment? Yes, you can. So let's look at how you do that, rather than going down the whole, oh, well, Satoshi said that this was peer-to-peer censorship resistance and getting all egalitarian on it. So
sorry, I was thinking, I definitely have used exchanges, but I've also done a few more riskier kind of transactions through MetaMask and stuff. But I think it's like, just if you want to get onto something that only goes through those channels,
Yeah. So like, the way I tend to suggest it for people who really are just beginning in this, and the absolute novices, is to do something like go to blockchain.com, which is they've got like a crypto exchange type thing. You can register there. you'll get a crypto wallet and you can buy and sell Bitcoin once you've linked in your bank account details, or you transfer for them. So blockchain.com or crypto.com, which you mentioned, they're probably, Coinbase used to be a really good one as well. They're probably...
Crypto.com also don't have everything. All of them don't have every currency on there.
And to be honest, I find that the less that they offer at the beginning, the better. Because
the more solid they are.
Yeah, so the reason I used to like blockchain.com was that they only offered 5 different cryptocurrencies, I think it was.
Yeah.
So whereas Binance was offering like 200 at the time, I think Coinbase was the same. I think Coinbase had 5 originally. So in some ways, keeping it less complicated with fewer choices is actually better. So what I tend to say is go onto a simple platform, and Coinbase is actually a good one. So Coinbase, blockchain.com, crypto.com, use that to learn about what you need to do in order to create an account to begin with, and then just buy a small amount of something that you can afford to completely lose if it all goes badly wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
So, a few pounds of Litecoin or Dash or something that's got a low value that, if you buy 20 pounds of it, it's not the end of the world if you lose it type thing. And then as you get more comfortable and confident, that's when you start doing things like, well, I've now bought a few Satoshis in Bitcoin. Let's use that to buy a different crypto. So then you're exploring the crypto to crypto world, which is a bit different again.
I mean, that's pretty much what I did. I definitely started just with exchanges and one for a while and played it very safe for quite a while. Yeah.
And that's where, at that level, you could then go on to do something like, get an account with Binance or with Kraken. They're probably 2 of the biggest ones. Then you can start learning more advanced trading. You can look at candlestick analysis, technical analysis. You can start doing things like stop losses on your trades and that kind of thing.
What I'd like to know about stop losses, actually.
Because in simple terms, a stop loss is just if Bitcoin's at $20,000 at the moment, and you bought it at $19,000. Well, you could set a stop loss to say if it drops below $19,500, then sell it. So you've kind of locked in some value. So you can do that either way. You can do it on the basis of if you've already got some crypto, you can set it up so that if the crypto drops below a certain amount, it'll automatically sell.
So you're selling it while it's high,
Yeah, and also you can set up the opposite way, that if it goes above a certain price, you can automatically buy it. So you can do something like if you're watching, in fact, if we pull up, let's have a look at Binance, for example. If you can see the screen at the moment, if we're back here where Bitcoin was just toddling around about the $19,400 mark, well, you could say, well, what tends to happen with Bitcoin is it'll be all nice and settled for a while, and suddenly it'll have a spike. And so anytime there's a spike, you want to buy type thing. So you could say, well, at the moment, crypto back then was at 19,322. You could say, well, if it goes above 19,400, then buy. And so you kind of catch this rising tide. And then when it gets up to kind of, what was that, 20,200? Well, what you could say is, right, it's now at 20,200. If it drops below 20,100, I want you to sell. And sure enough, when it goes here, it sells. What that then means is that you've locked in this profit in between. So it's just a useful way of doing it without having to constantly monitor screens to see what's going up and down, sideways and there. The thing I would suggest is that if you're not into doing that kind of stuff yet, there are lots of videos you can watch. I'm not going to recommend any in particular. But always be suspicious of people who talk about using past patterns to predict the present.
Right.
So, and by that, what I mean is quite often they'll say, oh yeah, well, if you look at this chart, you can see this thing here where there's a descending pattern. And, you know, that means that round about here, it's going to spike up. And, oh, look, it did. That shows that I'm right. And then you see that. Well, it's kind of like that they're just telling you about the past. What they're not doing is saying, right, see where it is right now. Well, we've just got this crossover here. What that means is in 15 minutes, it's going to go up. They never, ever do that. So just be cautious. But in terms of, I don't know, do you do any candlestick analysis on trading? Do you know what all these things are?
Well, I think I do. I haven't formally learned it, but
okay. Yeah.
Well, let's say no. It's a vague idea.
Okay. Well, if we look at it in simple terms, these are called candlesticks, and they represent periods of time. So at the moment, I'm looking at the conversion between Bitcoin and Tether USDT, which is effectively a stable coin equivalent to $1, right? Okay. So each of these time frames, each of these candles represents at the moment 1 hour. And all it's saying, if we look at this candle I've got here on the 25th of October at 1800, it's saying that it started at $19,816. It went up and ended at $20,100. So it's green because it's gone up, and the thickness of the candle is the variation in the prices. And if the price ends higher than lower, then it's green. If the price ends lower than higher, then it's red. And all it is, it's a thing called opening price, closing price, high, low, and down here you've got the actual volumes. So you can use this as an indicator, and we can change the time frame. So I can change this to be 5 minutes, for example.
Yes.
And it's showing exactly the same stuff, but broken into 5-minute chunks.
Right.
And this is where it can be really interesting that if we look at probably Bitcoin's as good as any. Overall, Bitcoin is just channeling along at the moment. It's going roughly between 24,000 and 18,000, give or take. So you look at that, that's a fairly stable chart, but you can see this red line here is gradually dropping.
Right.
And that is the 200-day moving average. So what it's saying is that as an overall trend, Bitcoin is going down in price.
Right.
But when you drill into it, if we look at the hourly chart, we can see, well, actually it's going up. So we take a look, so we can see that the moving average on a 15-minute basis is that it's going up. So what it means is that long-term Bitcoin is going down, but short-term it's in a rally at the moment. So it's quite bearish. So it's just a matter of looking at these different charts and getting a feel. And some people can do chart analysis. So there are certain shapes and candles that tend to indicate certain things.
Yeah.
And you'll hear talk about crossover points. So over here, where we've got these two lines where they're crossing over, which is between the 50-day and the 20-day moving average. All it means is that over that period, that it looks like the crypto is beginning to go back up in price or down in price. And typically where lines cross over, that tends to be an indicator of a trend setting in. So you can see again, there's a bit of a trend of it going down, but you could spend hours on this, and you'd be better off watching. There are some good YouTube videos explaining how to do it. And we're probably almost out of time, so don't really have time to go into that more. But it's a fascinating area, definitely. So that's a good one.
Yeah,
in fact,
that's great. Yeah, I'd love to be able to. I mean, I could listen to a YouTube video or two on that.
Yeah, the only one to say is that again, you'll get a few people on YouTube who massively hype things, and they get all animated and shouty and that kind of thing. Ignore them and listen to the sensible people who stay calm.
Yes.
They're worth watching. So, Well, look, talking of time, we're about out of time. I try and keep these to 1 hour,
Sure.
so we finish. But
Yeah.
I do run them every week. So if you want to come back next week, more than welcome.
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll be joined by a few more people next week.
Yeah.
But at least you've got that link to the Telegram channel on the events.
Okay.
I shared that in the chat group before. And also, you're more than welcome to connect with me. You'll find me if you just Google Gary Nuttall crypto. I fill the front page of Google, I think, on that. Do reach out, and if you want to know any interesting events to go to or anything,
Okay. Great.
I tend to keep a thing because there's lots of stuff
Yeah.
happening in London.
Yeah. I think it would be great to not today, but at some time to talk about security as well. Like, what's the best setup for security? But another day.
These. So I happen to be working on a couple of crypto custody projects at the moment. So yeah, happily talk about that next time.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining. Hope
Thank
that
you.
was interesting and enjoyable anyway for an hour. And
Yeah,
do
great.
join us again.
Thank you so much.